My name is Loris Hokomchand, and I will be doing an instructional video on blended learning. Since blended learning is part of this course, and we have studied and learned thus far of personalized learning, problem-based learning, gaming and learning, and so forth, hence it is only fitting to understand what type of learning or what approach to learning is blended learning. The purpose, therefore, of this video is to demonstrate and illustrate what blended learning is and how it could be applied in a classroom. Now let's examine what is meant by blended learning. The word blend means mixing something, blending things together. Hence, blending learning is taking and mixing classroom learning and online learning together through the use of technology to deliver individualized instructions and the appropriate learning environment with the use of effective learning materials and assessment tools for students. As you can see in the video clip, one circle is green and the other circle is blue. Green represents classroom learning and blue represents online learning. The intersection where the two intersect is called blended learning. Therefore, blended learning is where instructions are customized to meet students' individual needs with an element of control over students' time, place, and pace of learning. Let us now briefly examine the various elements of blended learning. These would include things such as personalized learning. This basically refers to education that is tailored to meet the individual needs of students, such as individual instructions, the personal learning environment, that is both the classroom and the online environment. The second element is problem-based learning, which is also referred to as a student-centered approach, whereby students learn about a subject by working in groups to solve open-ended problems. For example, current affairs or problems happening in the news. As a result, problem-based learning, the problem drives the motivation of students to learn and solve problems. The next element in blended learning is referred to as online learning, or I normally call it e-learning, whereby learning is done exclusively virtually or online over the internet using a host of digital and educational technology tools. The fourth element in blended learning is referred to as in-person learning. That is face-to-face or a brick-and-mortar learning in a physical classroom or the traditional approach to learning. It is more a teacher-centered approach, a top-down approach, and interactions are live between students and teachers. The next element of blended learning, as discussed earlier, is where learning instructions, the learning environment, the learning is to take place in, the learning itself are all designed and customized for individual student. The final element of blended learning is the element of control over student time, place, and pace of learning. By this method, teachers can ensure the objectives of this approach is met. That is, effective assessments are accurate and learning is successful. One of the most pressing questions I got in blended learning is that how do teachers maintain control over students' learning? And there are three aspects to how control is maintained. One is the time. Teachers normally set the time, they set the place of the environment in which the learning is take place, and they pace the learning so that students can and teachers can both track and able to meet the objectives set out in the lesson so that learning can take place effectively. Now the question is, how could this type of learning, blended learning, be integrated in a classroom setting? It is made possible through the integration of technology and online platforms to enable communications from a variety of areas, such as assignment, submission, group and class discussion, online interaction, and individualization and personalization of instructions and learning materials. Some of the platforms that currently facilitate blended learning are Google Classroom, Schoology, etc. The integration of blended learning also fosters a sense of interaction and collaboration through critical thinking and creativity. Hence, the upside of blended learning outweighs the downside and will continue to grow and expand. In a nutshell, if we have to recap this lesson about blended learning is basically we're blending the physical traditional classroom with the online classroom using technology with instructions being customized and individualized so that learning can take place in an environment that is effective, suitable, and appropriate to achieve the objectives set out in the course or the lesson.